We are just 3 days away from the Iowa caucuses. On the Democratic side, there is a sense among political watchers that Bernie Sanders has the momentum against Hillary Clinton. That's reflected in the headlines as well. But the showdown between the two candidates is also sparking speculation about whether the media are making this closer than it actually is. This article in the Hill newspaper caught our eye, entitled, "Is Media Driving Bernie Momentum?" It goes on to say, quote, "Ironically, just weeks ago, it was Sanders supporters who were complaining about the media. At the time, Clinton appeared to have pulled away from Sanders, and his campaign complained about a Bernie blackout. Since then, the media narrative has shifted to Sanders' rise and whether Clinton is set to repeat her 2008 failure against then-Senator Barack Obama." Here to talk about it, Judith Miller, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author, and Fox News contributor. Also, Lynn Sweet, bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times. We'll let you talk first, Lynn, so you can get your jaw muscles working. It looks like it's cold out there. What do you think?
Well, I'm dressed in my Chicago warm.
Oh, okay. So you're used to the weather. What do you think? I mean, anyway, do those who say that the media are favoring Bernie Sanders, do they have a point?
No. Bernie Sanders earned the attention he's getting. He did it 3 ways: by just attracting massive crowds. He did it by doing spectacular fundraising without any formal effort. And then, yes, he's doing it in the polls. If Rick Santorum or Jeb Bush or Chris Christie hit any of those metrics, they would be getting more media attention as well.
What do you think, Judy? Is it media unfairness that is pushing this Bernie momentum?
No, I totally agree with Lynn. Look, this is a guy whom the media virtually ignored, even as he was beginning to gather the attention of thousands of young people all across the country, even as those feel the burn signs were going up all over the country. I mean, if anything, you can fault the media for not paying attention early enough to Bernie Sanders, and overestimating Hillary Clinton's attraction to voters has now become pretty obvious she has some problems. So, if anything, the media were late to the game, but of course everybody loves to bash the media, so we got to blame somebody for this. Let's blame us.
I want to underscore that. This is a bash the media routine when you have nothing else to say. No, so for example, if Martin O'Malley, the ignored third Democratic candidate, if all of a sudden he started attracting crowds in the thousands, of course everyone would be starting to pay more attention. Sometimes campaigns have to earn attention. They just don't get it.
There were plenty of complaints against the media displayed last night on both stages, or on the stage in both events. At the Republican event, I want to play some of that sound for you now.
You know, listening to what your network was talking about prior to this race, this debate, reminded me of the coverage that many on this floor are getting. This debate was called the Undercard debate. The Undercard debate. It wasn't advertised significantly. In fact, the entire hour lead up to this, there was no conversation about any of the 4 people on this debate stage. And that is the chronic situation.
Last 4 questions have been: Rand, please attack Ted. Marco, please attack Ted. Chris, please attack Ted. Jeb, please attack Ted. If you guys ask one more mean question, I may have to leave the stage.
Well, don't worry, I'm not leaving the stage no matter what you ask me.
All right, so do they have a point? Lynn, to you first.
No. Grow up. And
simple and sweet.
You know, these are candidates. Well, I mean, and I fear that we might all be in violent agreement on this one. Not all campaigns are equal. And now, you know, the good news is, in our system, many people on the Republican side are running for president. And if they had, in an ideal world, everybody would be on the same stage and get the same amount of time, I suppose. But it doesn't happen that way because of the reality that it's just a harder format. And it is sometimes candidates have a point where some people get an abundance of attention in a debate, but to keep, if all your campaign can do is just say blame the media, or everybody's inviting questions about me, well, that's their job. It was the job of Senator Cruz last night to not complain about the questions, but to deal with them.
Rick Santorum, we had him in studio, by the way, just about 2 weeks ago for a live interview, Judy. He's complaining that we called it the undercard debate, which is true, but it's based on the polling. Now, I don't know how else you're going to try to figure out who it is that viewers want to see and hear from the most.
Exactly. I mean, I think the selection has been pretty fair. It is based on a mix of polls, and the fact of the matter is these guys and Carly Fiorina have not been able to pull their weight in terms of attracting the kind of support from the people that would get them onto that main stage. But you know, before this year, they wouldn't have had a platform at all. Now people are beginning to hear what they think and who they like and who they dislike. That opportunity didn't even exist. So in a year in which the media have helped create a man like Donald Trump by giving him a lot of free publicity because he says outrageous things, in the year of the kind of media creation of someone who wouldn't have even been on the stage in only 8 years ago, I think it's a little rich to start complaining about media not paying attention.
Let's take a quick peek at what Donald Trump...
Can I quickly make one more point? May I?
Very quickly.
Okay, I'm in Des Moines, and it's the proud home of the Iowa Cubs. They don't complain that they're not in Wrigley Field. They own it, and they're proud of it. Okay, be a proud underdog.
There you go. You mentioned Donald Trump, Judy, the guy who really has mastered the media this cycle. He is in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is video from just a little while ago. Got out of Iowa quickly. We presume he will be going back there. But what do you think about the way his whole boycott and subsequent event was covered? Judy?
Look, I just think his position was absolutely ridiculous from the beginning. It was very important for Fox News to establish that it is the news organizations that determine who asks questions and not the candidates. I think his outrageous demands for money for this or money for that far exceed what is normally acceptable in politics. I think he has played this for all it's worth, and I think that Fox News did exactly the right thing by inviting him to appear if he wants to, but understanding that he could not control who asked the questions. And you know what? I watched a little last night during the commercials of the debate. I watched Donald Trump, and it was so unbelievably boring, and even he didn't look like he wanted to be there, and made several allusions to that.
Well,
so I hope he's learned a lesson.
Yeah, he even said he'd rather be at the debate. Lynn, your take very quickly.
I was there, and he didn't even, you know, he handpicked some reporters for a so-called, for a press conference, but on his plane on the tarmac in Des Moines, there was a file room at the event at Drake University. He could have had a press event there. And remarkably, at this event that was there, he hardly spoke compared to the others.
So
he was like the host of a telethon.
You're saying he was hiding from the media?
No, well, I think he wanted, you know, it's manipulative. And I'm not saying I would have turned down an invite to go talk to him on the plane. I'm just explaining his M.O. in this case.
Right.
I want to underscore that $5 million request he made of Fox News, that I think is a story that will have legs, including his spreading of charitable money to veterans organizations in Iowa and New Hampshire. No matter how worthy the cause, there are certain ways that you can use money in political campaigns. This is worth the discussion.
That story's gathering some steam. Lynn Sweet, Judy Miller, we have to say goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye, John. Thanks.